Hi, and welcome back to Purple Color Life. In today's video, we're going to be splitting some firewood, a little bit of a comparison between the original split fire log splitter that we had and the new one, testing the cycle speed difference. We already know that the smaller one has actually a faster cycle speed, but how much faster in reality when we're splitting through hard oak? So that is today's test. We've actually got some oak here in the back of the Ford Workmaster inside the big tool rack ready to split. So let's start splitting and let the comparison begin. Olive, are you ready to split some firewood today? So here you go, in the big tool rack we do have some oak that is ready to split. That's some beautiful oak and it smells really good here in the shed. I think it's been 2 weeks of cold weather since we started this. It is in the 30s today. We're in the middle of December here in Northwest Pennsylvania. So this will be a true cold start of the antique Ford tractor. Well, today's video is a viewer request video, split fire comparison, specifically talking about the speed of the cycle. So we're going to compare the 2265 with the 3465 and see the cycle time difference. Now I've got everything all set up here. We've got the Ford Workmaster, the big tool rack with some red oak. We've got the Polaris Ranger ready to take the split pieces. And we've got both splitters set up side by side. Split fire 3465 closest to us, split fire 2265 in the distance there. And we're gonna do a couple different comparison videos. Let's talk about today's little science project. Now let's first talk about what the literature says. On the 2265, split fire claims a 6 to 8 second cycle time. Now that means down and back is one cycle, which, as you know, with the two-way splitting action of a split fire means you've made 2 splits in that amount of time, up and back. Now looking at the 3465, split fire says this is a 9 to 11 second cycle time. So this is about 4.5 seconds each direction. But I've tested those cycle times before, at least on the 2265, and I found it was actually faster than advertised. I'll put a link to that up above. So in today's video, 2 different tests. One with splitting red oak, both splitters to see what the cycle time is, splitting through hardwood wood. And then one with no wood, just testing that cycle time up and back. Let's start out first here talking about why I think this is a fair comparison. First of all, these splitters have both been warmed up. I just shut them off here to talk to the camera, but these have both been running for about 10 minutes now, just warming up all the hydraulic fluid, warming up the engine. Everything should be good to go. The next thing is, they're both splitting the same type of wood, red oak, but more than that, they're splitting back-to-back rounds that were cut out of the same tree. So almost identical size, definitely the same wood being split in both splitters. I do have the stopwatch on my phone, is what I'll use to time through the split. I'm gonna get everything set up. We will put the wood up against the log stop in both tests. We'll split right as close to the middle as we can, and we'll start the wedge clear at the opposite end. Now remember, we're actually just going to be testing half the cycle time, just going down in these first tests. Okay, so that first one went really easily, about 6 seconds, and you saw I let it run the wedge all the way through to the end of the stop, even though the log was already split when the wedge was only about halfway through it. That way we get a fair comparison between both splitters. I also ran this at full throttle. We do the same thing on the small splitter. We're gonna get that half cycle time right now. Okay, first test split's done. I think I was actually a little bit slow with my thumb on the 2265 timer, but it's okay. We've got other splits to go here. We'll kind of compare. We'll do maybe the average of 3 times of the stroke. So on the cycle, 1/2 cycle on the larger split fire splitter, I got 6.44 seconds. And 1/2 cycle on the smaller split fire splitter, I got 4.37 seconds. That's the one I'm questioning a little bit. I might have been slow on the button. Now, that was splitting through a whole round of oak. It was splitting the entire way from stop to stop, and it was at full throttle, both machines on warmed up machines. Now we're gonna split through the other half. We'll split it just exactly in half. Same test. Okay, so let's review the results of the test with the hardwood red oak. The first run through the 3465 was 6.44 seconds. That was the extension. First run through the 2265 was 4.37 seconds for the extension going through wood. Second run on the 3465 was 6.21 seconds. Second run on the 2265 was 4.64 seconds. Then on the third run, I used the retraction of the piston. So this is coming back, the wedge coming back towards the engine. In that run, the 3465 was 5.45 seconds, so actually faster coming back. And the 2265 was 3.90 seconds, again, faster coming back than going out. So maybe that's the way these hydraulic cylinders work. Maybe they give you, I know it gives you more tonnage going out than coming back. I've found that as I split firewood, but maybe it's faster coming back than it is going out. What we're gonna do next, our last test here, will be with no wood in the machine, just going out, coming back. Now these never actually touch, the wedge never actually touches the wood, but the hydraulic cylinder, you do hear it stress when the cylinder hits the end. So we'll go out until I hear that noise and come back immediately, taking a time of the full cycle, because remember, the full cycle is out and back, and in reality, when you're splitting with the split fire, you've made a split and another split when that happens. There you go, the answer to a viewer request. Cycle time comparison between the 3465 and the 2265. I think that was a lot of fun. First of all, they're both very fast when you consider that you can split on the extension and the retraction of the piston. This test, we just used a two-way wedge. I've done a couple of videos in the past on the four-way wedge. Does it actually make it faster? I'm still learning how to use that four-way wedge. For me, I'm still faster with this two-way wedge on a two-way cycle machine. Now, the 2265 is a smaller machine. It has the same Honda engine. Both of these machines have the same Honda GX200 engine. So, like I said, this is about as fair as I could make the comparison. Same wood from the same tree, same engine, same working conditions, the same temperature outside. They both warmed up the same amount of time. They both got gas in them from the same gas can. So that's about as equal as I can make it. The only offset in the timing would just be my reaction time on my phone stopwatch. Now, if you're new to the channel, you might be asking yourself, if the 2265 is faster and less expensive, why would I get the 3465? Well, I did a video that I'll put a link to up above explaining the features this 3465 has. The key two things that we wanted in another machine was the four-way wedge, which now I'm kind of second guessing, to be honest with you. More tests on that in the future, but this is so fast with the two-way wedge, and that's so fast with the two-way wedge. I don't know that with my wood the four-way wedge is benefiting me that much. We've done videos in the past, and you can watch those. I'll put links in the description and up above. But the main reason that I wanted the 3465 was because I could add this bed height 8 inches higher. This gives me working conditions at a more comfortable level, so I'm not bending my back. You can see this is a much lower working height, so I was this slight little bend while I'm splitting. Now, we're going to do another video in the future comparing other differences between these two machines. I'll tell you, just lugging them in and out of the building, I noticed a huge difference in weight. This is so lightweight, it's easier for me to lift up and move around. That one's still easier than a lot of commercial machines, but compared to this one, that is much heavier. So that'll do it for today's video about the split fire machine cycle time comparison. Hopefully you enjoyed this viewer request video idea. I think it was a great idea. Fun to see how much faster the 2265 cycle time is than the 3465. But with the 3465, you're getting more tonnage splitting power in each split. That was actually one of the questions I had before this test, was when Splitfire puts those cycle times on the website, is that just dry running the wedge up and back? I don't think it is, because we split through Pennsylvania hardwoods, red oak. That is not easy to split through, and we met the cycle times that were advertised just with splitting through that wood. And like I said, I did a test before on the 2265 showing how it's even faster than advertised. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you again the next time. Oh yeah, this thing's definitely heavier.